Good morning and welcome to episode 9 of Engine Talk. Now today I've got 3, maybe 4 things I'm going to briefly talk about to try to keep this fairly short. And as you can see, I've got several things on the table, some of which I'm just going to kind of push back right now and focus on this. So this is my personal Saito FA90T engine that I made a key disassembly steps video of several weeks ago. This is an engine I think I mentioned in that video that I chose to send to my friend Jay to have him put a Cerakote finish on it. And he had black satin on hand, so I just kind of quickly mocked up these parts. This is obviously not assembled or anything. I just got the parts back the other day. Haven't had a chance to reassemble the engine, but I just wanted to show you kind of what it's going to look like. I chose to have him keep the mount as it was and basically do the parts you see here. I could have thrown a screw in there, but I didn't. And just kind of see. So it's going to look very similar to a 100T, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have another 100T on my right here to look at. It's going to look very much like a 100T, but it's going to be a 90T, and of course this is a custom thing, so I think it'll look a lot better. But anyway, so that's kind of where we stand with that. I've got a set of bearings for it. I've got all the parts, obviously, and I'll be putting this engine back together here hopefully this month. I'd like to get it run this month, but I really just don't know. I mean, it's the middle of October and time is flying by so quickly right now that I just don't know if I'm going to be able to. And on the 100T note, I am going to be receiving a 100T from a new customer here probably in 2 days from now. That he got it from RC Groups and was told it was new. And he wants me to do some initial tuning runs on it. So I will be fast tracking that and getting that on the stand here very soon. So I'll be able to see what one looks like. I mean, I know the 100Ts are black and they have silver rockers. If I could find gold rockers, I would put gold rockers on this because that would make it look so much cooler. And it would not look like a 100T, but it is what it is. So the next thing I want to talk about here is this. And this is just one of the most awesome Saito engines ever made, in my opinion, and it's the 150. This is an engine that my buddy Harvey sent me. Now, this isn't the 150S. It's just the straight 150, but it's still the A version. It's still the A case. We were talking the other day on the phone, and he was going through some stuff and telling me how many different types of engines he's got of all these. And I was like, geez, you got so many of these 150s. Why don't you share one with me? So he sent this really nice 150 to me, and the other thing that's kind of unfortunate with engines from Harvey is that they're all perfect already. They don't need anything. They don't need bearings in them. So because he's like me. I mean, as soon as he gets an engine, he cleans it up and replaces the bearings immediately. I mean, that's just what he does. It's kind of what I do, or at least what I have been doing. But this is just a beautiful engine. I thought it was interesting because I was looking on the lug nut here, and this has got an N stamped on it. So those are production lot codes. I don't know if they restart, if this is starting from the very beginning, or if they recycle every year. I don't know. All I know is that's a production lot code in, and I've never really seen one that high before, I don't think. I might have seen an R once or twice on another Saito engine, but not on a 150. So I have this engine for, who knows, a short time, maybe permanently, if Harvey and I can decide on an equitable agreement on me having this for a longer period of time. So I don't know. I just wanted to show this because I think Saito 150 engines are just super cool. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about, and I mentioned briefly in the Avistar carb, I just did a video on a Avistar 46 ABC engine, and I showed looking at the carb. And in that video I mentioned, well, maybe it's time for me to do another video on carbs. I did some carb videos, and some of them are very, very popular. Some of them were, one of them where I show how you preliminary do a carb setup for a two-stroke engine was probably one of the most popular videos I've ever made. with tens of thousands of views. And then I had an air bleed carb versus a twin needle carb video. So, and the subject of carbs is just such a huge rabbit hole. And I said in that video, I was like, well, maybe it's time, or I put in the comment, I pinned a comment saying, well, maybe it's time for me to, do another carb video. So I just want to show you, here are some carbs that I picked out to when I do that. But apparently I started thinking about this on my walk this morning. It's like, this is not going to be a video. This is going to be a series of videos, or it could be, depending on your comments and desires. Because carbs are, it's a pretty complicated subject, and I'm not super technical about them, but I can tell you what I know about them, and I've got several different variants here. So what I was thinking of doing was making a series, and the first one basically just kind of reiterating my very popular video from many years ago, and talk about the theory of operation of how a carb, or how these carbs, all carbs are pretty much the same, how a carburetor works, and how you would troubleshoot things. And then maybe do a separate video comparing and contrasting twin needle carbs versus air bleed carbs, and show and tell about how they operate differently. Or maybe that's in the first video, I don't know. And then, if interested, disassemble some carbs and show the internal workings and the differences that different manufacturers, different approaches that different manufacturers take. So there could be 4 or 5 videos, and because I don't know that I necessarily want to go disassembling all my carbs, especially if they're from good running engines, but I can. I mean, it's not a big deal. But that's something that I will determine by how well this is received, and any comments that are entered in about what people like to see, because I know there's a lot of new subscribers and maybe people that are not as familiar with how to set up a carb or the parts of a carb and that type of thing. So what I've got here, just really briefly, is this is the carb that came off my brand new, I did a video of just a week or so ago, the H40 RC from like early OS H40 RC engine. It's a very old engine, like 1972, and it's an air bleed carb, but it's a pretty substantial looking carb. So, and it's still in the bag. This is another air bleed carb. This is a Fuji carb that came with a 25 FSR, OS 25 FSR engine. That this wasn't shown in the ad. So this was kind of a fraudulent thing here. They didn't tell me that they didn't have an OS carb. So I've got this nice, well, I don't know if it's nice or not, a good example of a different manufacturer's air bleed carb. And this, of course, is a Super Tiger carb, probably the Mark 10 carb. One of the best carbs ever made, in my opinion, next to most all other OS carbs. This is an OS 4D carb, which came off my 46 SF engine, another very popular engine, or engine and carb. And this is a strange looking carb that has 2 needles, a low speed needle and a high speed needle, and this comes off of a Kraft 61 or RJL 61. I think they were still using the same carb. This is an interesting carb, and I pulled this out just because I had it, and I thought, wow, that's kind of an interesting one to show. And then, of course, finally, I've got yet another air bleed carb here, and this is from a Thunder Tiger GP 42 engine, and one of the lugs is broken off. This is a carb that was given to me in a little lot of parts when I was going through the GP 42 stuff with that GP 42 engine, getting that running. So that is basically, in a nutshell, this video. And one of my other buddies, Jeremy, mentioned that maybe I do a quick little segment, and this seems like a really good time to do it, a little quick segment on, I had made a video of the toolbox that I bought, and here it is. So here is a camera angle showing this toolbox, and I would have to say that, yes, categorically, I love this toolbox. It has helped organize me so much better. And as you can see here, hopefully you can see, I've got all my straight, or my ground precision hex drivers up here on the top that are labeled, or they come labeled, but I've got them all in a row here from largest to smallest, so I can easily grab the size I need. And I also try to keep the labels up so I can see them. I've got my glow driver, which I use a lot, and then the top bin here is also needle picks Looks like I've got one small wrench, opening wrench. It shouldn't go in there. My punches and a little screwdriver that I use a lot. On the lid, I've got my extendable magnet that helps me find things on the floor that drop. I also have a steel rule that's just attached with some of these neodymium magnets that I get from Harbor Freight. But then in this top drawer, this is the shallower drawer. I've got, you know, my pliers and wrenches, open-end wrenches, box-end wrenches, stuff like that. It's not full. There's just enough for me to, the wrenches that I use most commonly, and then of course this larger drawer here has all my other standard metric hex keys and a couple other, you know, maybe some C-clip wrenches and stuff like that. Things that wouldn't fit in that top drawer. But I mean, overall, this has been a fantastic purchase. It keeps me a lot more organized. It keeps the table a lot cleaner. It beats the heck out of having to try to dig through that bin and throw things out and try to figure out what tool you're looking for, because it's all right there. So I mean, this was, for $20, this was one of the best investments I've made in a long time, as far as at least enabling and assisting me in the hobby. So if you're going to be working on engines or doing a whole lot of stuff on your bench at all, I mean, I highly recommend this little thing. Like I said, 20 bucks. It's got a nice footprint. It doesn't take up a lot of space, but it does have just enough space to really keep all your essential tools right there. So I mean, that has been a tremendous, tremendous aid. So anyway, that is our episode of Engine Talk, ending with Tool Talk.